I am Deva from the Zoho Click team. I work as a technical architect with the Click platform team. So before moving on to how you can implement these things for your company, let's quickly look at some facts revealed from a research. A study of 5 million hours of user activity found that an average employee switches between 35 applications every day. That too, they do switch them 1100 times a day. The study also discovered that there was a 28% higher work error rate due to these switches. So, disconnected apps cause discomfort in employees, thereby reducing their productivity. One solution to this decentralization is to have one of your software act as a gateway connecting all of your apps. So, let's see how Click can help you achieve this via its robust platform. Let us start with a quick question. What are the primary constituents of any software? User interface, computational engine, storage, and authentication. So the user interface is where users can view data, feed inputs, and perform actions. It is basically what the end user sees in any software. The second constituent is the computational engine that ensures proper functioning of the software from the backend. The third constituent is the storage that allows you to store and access data for later use. The final one is the authentication mechanism, which verifies the identity of the users and ensures data security. Now, without further ado, let's jump on to see each one of these components in detail. So the first one is the user interface, which is where the humans interact with any software. Therefore, the user interface must make sure it is easy and intuitive for usage. The following are the user interface components offered by Click: widgets, chatbots, message cards, message actions, slash commands, and forms. The first user interface component is widgets. Widgets are personalized dashboards that can show you the information in a meaningful manner. Widgets can have up to 5 tabs, and each tab can have sections of elements. You can also embed web pages with charts and reports in these tabs. Remember the app switching problem we discussed earlier? When people switch between apps, they often get distracted with the surplus information rather than focusing on what they came for. Consider the case of an avid news follower. He wishes to be up to date on business, technology, and sports news. Once he logs into his computer, he opens these websites to catch up with the latest updates. The distraction kicks in when a new advertisement pops up or when a YouTube video embedded in that particular website gets played. A news widget in Click can keep things focused by giving the person what he wants right within the Click interface. One another scenario I could give you as example is you might want to download one of the starred files from your Google Drive account. The standard would be to go to Google Drive, click on the starred files, search for the file which you have to download, and then click on download to download the particular file. But the Google Drive widget can bring the list of starred files right inside the Click interface for you to view and download. The next user interface component on our list is chatbots. Chatbots are the current trend in the technology industry. They are personal assistants that can work on your behalf. However, unlike human assistants, they can help you with instant responses. In addition to that, they are highly scalable as they can handle multiple requests at the same time. On screen is a one-to-one conversation of a user with the Feeds bot. The bot shares a welcome message as soon as the user subscribes to it. You can see a set of actions at the bottom of the bot chat window. These actions give the user an easier way to initiate their workflows. In this case, you can view the list of subscribed feeds, you can subscribe to a new feed, or view the help information from the actions present at the bottom of the chat window. Bots can converse with you, collect inputs, and perform some action. For example, here is a cab booking bot which asks for the starting point, destination, and departure time to book the cab for you right from your Click interface. Bots can come to your rescue when you call for them. For example, here is a scenario where my colleague wants to know more details about the issue faced by our customer. So I call the desk bot for help along with the ticket ID, and it shares the detail of the particular issue right in our conversation. Bots can be added to channels to auto respond on behalf of you or your team. For example, as we have seen in the Shree's demo, the Click support bot automatically responds to queries made by other users in the support channel. Bots can deliver instant updates to Click from the tools you use. I hope you remember the instant notifications we were getting in the survey stats channel when you were answering the survey we gave at the start of this webinar. Bots can also curate information for you along with timely reminders for your to-dos. For example, in addition to the new courier notifications, the courier bot also reminds you to collect the courier the next day if you had missed it the previous day. The third user interface component on our list is message cards. Conversations can be pretty dull with only text messages. Images, annotations, code snippets, videos, Zomojis, and link previews add color to our discussions. In addition to these, message cards are rich layouts that support tables, lists, labels, as well as buttons. Ongoing task of a user shared in a neat table format is a perfect example of rich layout that is supported in Click. Each row has a mark as complete button, which can mark the task as completed right from the Click interface. View task is another call to action present in the card, which takes the user to Todoist to view the information in detail. The next example is the poll message card. Members of the chat can vote their choices, and they will also be able to view the poll result right inside their chat window. The fourth user interface component on our list is message actions. We can use message actions to turn static messages and files into actionable work items. Each message action can apply to specific message type, that is text, file, or link type. You can see several use cases here in this image to add a message sent in a chat as a ticket in your support tool, or add as an issue in Zoho projects, or add as a work item in your sprints tool. You can also add the message as a note in your Zoho mail or Zoho CRM. I would like to explain an example of how message action works with a link. Scott here has a lengthy link which he wants to shorten. I'm going to help him by shortening the link right from our chat interface. I click on the three dots in the message and select more options, which gives me a list of actions to perform on that particular message. So I'm going to click on the bit.ly URL message action, which is going to shorten the particular link and post it in the chat. The fifth user interface component on our list is /commands. You would have seen your IT admin open a black window, type some script to fix our problems on our computer. We find them cool, right? CLI was the standard interface in computers in the early 1980s. The graphical user interface which we prefer nowadays were introduced way later. Sysadmins use CLIs to run administrative routines. We developers also use the CLI more prominently. So this CLI is the inspiration of Click/commands. These are shortcuts to perform from any conversation within Click. The same composer box used to send messages in conversation is used to run these commands. They can pull data from external service and render it within Click. Likewise, you can also perform some actions and trigger workflows right from your chat interface. Shown here in this image is the Click command interface. Consider a scenario where I have to go to a meetup in San Francisco along with my colleagues. Naturally, I wish to know how long the travel would take so that I can plan accordingly. But instead of directly going to Google Maps, I use the /traffic command. It gets the destination location as input, detects my current location, connects with the Google Maps API to fetch the estimated travel time, and shares the details right inside the chat window. Another scenario is one of my teammates wants to know the basics of using Click. She asked me about it, and I remember the YouTube video which I had seen earlier. So I type /YouTube space Zoho Click, that is the search term which I want to search in YouTube, right in her chat window. I get a list of suggestions from YouTube. I can share the video with her by selecting a suggestion from the list. My colleague will also be able to watch the particular video right from her Click chat window. The last user interface component on our list is forms. Paper forms have existed early since the 19th century. These are documents with blank spaces given to fill in information. They maintain uniformity for convenient processing of the collected data. The filled forms are also kept as records for future references. Even in the digital world, forms are an integral part of our workflows. Just the paper forms have now been transformed into digital format. We filed tax returns using paper forms before. Now the same is done with the online form. Click forms help you to interact with your tools without losing their native touch. Click supports a wide range of inputs to collect structured data and perform an action. Here on this image, you can find a text field, an email field, a date field, a radio button, a location picker, and a file picker. In addition to these, we have click contextual dropdowns such as colleagues, teams, conversations, and channels that can provide a deeper integration with Click. Here is a scenario where one of my colleagues had reported a server crash issue. I have to file this particular outage as an incident in our incident management tool. I can use this particular form, fill in the title, select the service, assign this particular incident to someone, and create the incident right from this chat window. So these are the 6 components we learned from the user interface part of the Click platform. Do you know there is a mini version of Click available across all Zoho applications? On screen, you can see the chat bar present in Zoho CRM, Zoho Mail, Zoho Desk, and it is also present in almost all of the Zoho applications. All the user interface components we learned today are available in this Click Mini as well as your mobile apps. Moreover, Click works well with your smartwatches, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay to keep you connected with your team even when you are on the move. The user interface components help us to trigger workflows and collect inputs. So what to do with the collected data? We have to process it in the backend, right? That's where the computation part of the software architecture comes in. It is the backend engine that powers the functionalities of the software. A typical chat software provides you with only the user interface components to connect with the tools of your interest. An intermediate server is required to handle the data flow between the messaging software and your internal tools. But this is entirely different in Click. The computational engine is built right on top of the Click setup. Deluge, Zoho's proprietary scripting language, powers the Click computational engine. It eliminates the need of an intermediate server, which we referred in the previous slide. Deluge supports functions as service to provide the infrastructure for serverless development. Deluge support powerful single-line commands to connect with other Zoho apps. Almost all Zoho apps have Deluge custom functions implemented at various touchpoints. Zoho.crm.getRecords is the Deluge task to communicate with your Zoho CRM account, fetch records, and render them in Click. Likewise, to share an instant notification on updates that happen in other Zoho apps, you can use zoho.click.post to channel. Next on our list are REST APIs. APIs are pathways to connect between a client and a server. It can also help connect different applications and help in data exchange. Well-defined APIs are the base for any powerful automation. Click offers APIs to take backups and automate your management activities. We also support APIs to manage your channels, manage your activities, click status, send message to channels, bots, and more. I would like to share an interesting scenario which happened inside ZohoCore. One of the iOS developers of Zoho had developed a Mac script that would update his click status when he works in different applications on his laptop. His click status automatically gets updated as browsing at Firefox when he is using Firefox. It changes to coding at Xcode along with the song name he is currently playing in Apple Music. Of course, coding and songs go hand in hand, right? His status is set as busy when he is busy watching a movie. His click status is updated as away when he shuts down his computer or when there is no activity on his laptop for a long time. We were astonished by his creative thinking with the use of just a Click API. We hope you can come up with even better ideas. The next component in our backend computational engine is schedulers. We get bored doing the same mundane tasks every day. Schedulers can handle these repetitive tasks on your behalf. They work best in automating stats, summaries, and reports. They can be run daily, weekly, or monthly. App crash reports from Crashlytics is an excellent example for schedulers. The number of crashes that happened each day is grouped by affected devices, affected users, and unique issues and shared as a message card every week. The next entity in our software architecture is storage. When apps start to communicate with each other, they need to store the user data somewhere in the backend. Online cloud storage databases might come to your mind as a solution. However, we wish to eliminate the need for these intermediate servers. Hence, we supported databases right within our tech stack. Qlik supports CRUD operations in these databases similar to any other database. CRUD is nothing but an acronym of create, read, update, and delete. Fields supported in our databases are Boolean, number, and text fields. The final entity in our software architecture is authentication. It is the most critical step in connecting different applications. Hence, we implemented the connections framework to connect with your tools without any hassles. Our library currently has 100 plus ready to use connections. We also support creating custom connections for the services that are not present in our library. All the authentication information, are stored in the Qlik server securely. Some of the connections we have in our library are Google, Zendesk, HubSpot, GitHub, to name a few. So we have finished the theoretical explanations and we have seen practical use cases where the Qlik platform can fit into your ecosystem. Next, I wish to summarize the advantages of connecting your tools with Qlik. Qlik helps you to connect all your tools together and breaks the information silos across the different applications. The powerful computational engine allows you to automate your mundane tasks. Also, instant notifications reduce the turnaround time in workflows, thereby increasing your overall productivity. The most important advantage is that you don't have to worry about the technology stack to build all these workflows and automations. I hope you remember the architecture we discussed of a typical software connecting with your work tools. Now I would like to match those points with the Qlik platform we provide. The user interface section of Qlik has bots, widgets, message cards, message actions, slash commands, and forms. Deluge runtime and schedulers together form the computational engine section. Custom databases are supported to store and retrieve data. Connections help to connect with your tools without running into the hassles of authentication. So, with the Qlik platform, you don't have to worry about the intermediate servers for integration. This saves you the cost of installing, maintaining, and monitoring these servers. Last but not the least, we care for your privacy and data security more than anything. We show exclusive prompts when these tools access your personal information for the workflows. Also, we ask for your consent when these tools connect with your Zoho applications or use REST APIs on your behalf. Workflow developers would be able to access your data only if you consent to them. This helps you to avoid the misuse of your personal information. Now let us quickly go through a quick explanation of how the IT asset request workflow is built on Qlik. This will take around 5 minutes. Please don't worry if you are not able to catch up with the technical details. We will share you all the steps on how this workflow is set up in our follow-up email. Let me quickly share my screen. I hope you remember the IT asset request which Sri showed in his demo. So the user who wants a new device will start by creating a new request. The bot will notify the manager that a user has requested for a new device. The manager can choose to approve or reject the particular request. If the manager rejects the particular request, it is going to notify the requester that the request was rejected. And if the manager approves the particular request, the bot is going to automatically notify the IT admins in the sysadmin channel. The IT admins are going to check their inventory and get the device ready to be collected. Once the device is ready, the IT admin will be able to click on the ready to collect button, which is going to notify the requester to come and collect the particular device from the pit stop. So let's go through the steps which is taken care to build this particular workflow. So the first step is the person who wants a new device is going to apply for that particular asset using this form. So how to build this form? So Qlik supports a powerful tool which can help you to build these forms. Let me take you to my Qlik account. So this is the account in which we have developed these particular workflows. So on top right, you can see the profile image of this particular user. You can see the bots and tools present here. Clicking on this will open the interface of the components we discussed in this presentation. We have bots, commands, message actions, widgets, and more. So first, Sri would have executed the /new request / command to open this particular form. Let's see what's there in the code. Before jumping onto that, let me quickly show you by executing this particular / command. So executing this / command is opening a form. That is, this particular code we see here is form. So as I was referring to the form builder, let's see how this form is built. So here on screen, you can see like this particular form has 5 inputs. We have a name input, email, which is used to select one of the person from my contact list. And then there are 2 radio buttons. So let us quickly build this particular form. So my form's title should be new asset request. Fill in this form and apply for a new asset. So the first field I would like to add is the name field. So it says name already. So the second one is the email field. Okay, it is there already. To select my manager as the third input. So select your manager. The fourth input was a radio button, which was used to select the device type. So, laptop and mobile were the 2 inputs there. Upon selecting that, the last and final input was used to select the OS. So let me add Android and iOS as the input for the radio button. So now we have the 5 inputs ready. We have filled in the form details too. So let's quickly click on the preview button to see the form. So this is what you saw here, right? So it's exactly similar to what you saw in the demo. So this form is ready now. So we can make modifications to this form if needed. And clicking on the view code will actually give you a JSON. This particular JSON is used to render the form inside Qlik. So the code here you see is framing that particular JSON and returning it from this particular handler. So upon executing this particular / command, I'll be able to see the form. So once the particular form is built and when the user executes the / command, the form is going to show. And upon submitting the form, we have to store that particular information in our database. So database is the next component which we are going to see in this particular demo. So you can find databases right here. So I have already built my asset request database here. So you can see a number of inputs present in this particular database. So the database should be able to store the user who is making the request, the name of the user, the ID of the user, the manager's name and ID, the type of device which the user is currently requesting, and the OS, along with the created time. And the approved status Boolean field will make sure that if the value is true, that means the manager has already approved, and if it is false, the manager hasn't approved the request yet. Likewise, the delivered status is used to denote if the device was already delivered to the user or the requester is yet to collect their particular device. So let's quickly see like how this database is. So I'm going to view the database. So this is the data which is actually present inside the database. So you can see there are like 13 requests made so far. So here is one such request. So this was the one which Sri showed in the demo. You can see like the time is 2:27 p.m. That was the time when the request was made. Sorry, this is in IST. So you can see the user ID, the username, the manager ID, and manager name. So the delivered status says as true, as well as the approved status says as true. So this particular database can actually store information like this for your use cases. So the next step is, once the data is stored in the database, you have to notify the users about the particular request. So in our case, the user, that is the manager, will be receiving a notification in their bot stating that one of their mentee has raised a new request. So we saw a card like this in the demo. So let's see how this particular card can be built. So Qlik supports a powerful tool called Message Builder. You can visit qlik.zoho.com/message builder to view this tool. Let's quickly jump into this particular message builder and see how this particular message is built. I'm going to qlik.zoho.com/message builder. So let's quickly visualize this card once. So there is a title which says who has raised the request, and then there is some text which denotes what type of device they asked for and the OS. And then we have two buttons. And this particular message is sent by the asset management bot. So let's try to reproduce the same. So we want to show the title as Scott Fisher has raised a new request. Then the message said device type as mobile and OS type as Android. As in when I type here, you can see the message is getting reflected here. Then I have to add two buttons. One is approve and another one is reject. If you can see here, this is almost similar to what we saw in our slide here, but that the difference is coming from the theme param. So we support 4 different themes. The one which is right here on the screen is the basic theme. The one we used in the demo is modern inline. So this is how you can frame a message and you can post this to any chat. So let's see how this message is built. So you can click on this particular option to see the JSON behind this particular message. You can also click on this option to see the deluge code you have to use to post this particular message. So we have framed the message that has to be shared to someone. So how we will be able to send that particular message to a chat? Here you have the syntax. You can see zoho.qlik.post to bot. The first param should be the unique name of the bot. Our bot's name is asset management, and hence we can use the term asset management here, followed by the JSON we received in our message builder. With this, you will be able to send notifications to the bot right from the API. So you might have felt overwhelmed with the surplus information I have given with the complete overview of Qlik platform. So the question is, should you build all your workflows from scratch? No. We already have 50 plus ready to use extensions now in our Qlik marketplace. These extensions were built by Zoho teams, Zoho partners, and other developers from our developer community. Zoho Marketplace is Zoho's equivalent of Google's Play Store or Apple's App Store. Like you have mobile apps in these stores, we have extensions in Zoho Marketplace. No coding is required to use these extensions, and they can be installed with just a click. Suppose you are a non-technical person looking forward to bring your workflows to Qlik. Extensions should be the right place to start. Zoho CRM, Zoho Desk, Zoho Mail, Zoho Invoice are some of the integrations readily available for you to use. You can also find other Zoho integrations in our Qlik marketplace. In addition to these Zoho integrations, we also have 30 plus extensions that connect Qlik with your favorite third-party tools: Google Drive, MailChimp, Twilio, PagerDuty, and HubSpot are to name a few. Also, we have 4 standalone extensions that don't connect with any other external services but run entirely on Qlik. After this session, please visit marketplace.zoho.com/qlik and install the extensions that you feel would be helpful for your team. So the next question is, if there are extensions readily available in the marketplace, you might be wondering, what is the purpose of learning the technical details about all these platform components? We can broadly classify the custom workflows as 3. You might want to integrate Qlik with an external application that is not present in our Qlik marketplace. Or you might wish to connect Qlik with corporate utilities that you have built in-house. Or you might feel you might still be using notes or physical records to keep track of your workflows. You can bring them online by building standalone applications on Qlik. Also, you can build tools to run smaller workflows right within your Qlik interface. For example, to collect peer performance review, you don't have to purchase an exclusive software. Your technical team will be able to build this workflow right with the help of Qlik. So here are some of the other use cases we would like to code, which can be built for your particular team without need of any third-party tool or service. You can build a library management app. You can build a cafeteria order management app. You can do your conference booking right from the Qlik interface. You can do visitor management. You can do gym management, and incidents can be tracked within Qlik. You can also do content review tracker, recruitment tracker, and you can also support parking lot management right from your Qlik interface. So to start working with the Qlik platform, you can start by visiting our help document page. So the page is like qlik.zoho.com, zoho.com/qlik. Let me quickly show you a overview of how this particular page is. So if you visit zoho.com/qlik, you will find the developer section under the resources tab. Clicking on this will take you to this particular page, which will have the detailed explanation of each and every component we discussed in this particular webinar. So the first on list is APIs. So we saw how REST APIs can help you automate things. So you can see the channels, messages, reminders, and other REST APIs we support. Next on our list is Deluge reference guide. You can see there is like detailed explanation of each and every component they support in Deluge, and there are integrations which is done with Zoho or third-party apps too. So here you can see the list of tasks, Deluge tasks that are supported to connect with other Zoho applications. Next is internal tools. So this will give you the explanation of how each and every component of Qlik works. You can see the workflow of how slash commands work, how bots work, etc. And then we saw about extensions. So developing extensions is pretty out of scope for this particular webinar. So I'll just skip this. So then you can have a view at the developers FAQ we have in our website. And then we have a community where people raise their questions, and fellow developers will be able to reply to you in this community, or we'll jump in and help you with your queries. Next, we have code samples and video tutorials which can help you get started with the Qlik platform. You can start by downloading the source code and read about that and use it for your team. And the video tutorials for each and every component can explain each of those in detail so that you can start your Qlik journey.